It looks like we have another cucumber back down in here, but I'm gonna let this one go for another day and harvest it, although it could be harvested now. Well, thankfully this year is no 2020 when it comes to our cucumbers. Guten Yardening, everybody. You know, for the last couple of years, we've made no secret of the fact that we've had a major struggle trying, without success, to grow cucumbers outdoors. For whatever reason, last season I think was the worst we've ever had, where we got a total of maybe 3 or 4 cucumbers and our plants dried up and died. Well, this season is a completely different experience. I think we've harvested 25, maybe 30 cucumbers, and the plants look fantastic. These are the cucumbers that my daughter just harvested. She got 8 or 10 of these really nice cucumbers. Now, unlike the last couple of seasons, and last season specifically, when the plants died at about the time they would start fruiting, this year is a completely different story. First of all, the plants are incredibly healthy. Look at all these beautiful green leaves. I mean, they're fantastic shape there. There are flowers all throughout. Look at all this yellow that you can see, and they're continuing to expand and grow. We've got these particular ones trellised back here, and they're reaching up to the heights of the trellis. Now, as always, this isn't the only place that we're growing our cucumbers. This is just one of a couple of different styles, but this area is performing really well. Now, for those of you that don't know, it might be interesting to see the difference between the male and the female flowers. These are male flowers. You can see there's no fruit in behind them. And then our female flowers are up here, and you can see there's the fruit right behind them. So just like squash with our male and female flowers, what's really important is that these are getting pollinated. And I can say that we planted a lot more flowers this year. We've attracted a ton of our bumblebees and other pollinators just because of that, I think. And so that's another reason why I think we're getting as much fruit as we're getting. Now, one of the biggest differences I think between this year's harvest and last year's is that the plants we started with were grown from seedlings that we started. So they looked much healthier from the beginning than the plants that we were buying in years past. And I think if you have the capacity to start your own seedlings, you'll probably see a really substantial difference. It looks like we have another cucumber back down in here, but I'm gonna let this one go for another day and harvest it, although it could be harvested now. We had a bit of a nitrogen deficiency last season, which we've dealt with, at least in our main growing space, so maybe that's helped. And we've also been really nice and consistent in our watering. We haven't let this dry out, which is another one of the issues, because these are very much a plant that are heavily impacted by drought. And we've definitely had multiple time periods this year where we've been impacted by a lack of rain, but these plants haven't suffered because we've stayed on top of them, making sure that they are healthy. Now, we've also planted our cucumber here in a hay bale. And we've done a lot of talking about our hay bale gardens this year because we've just become obsessed, I think, with them and how successful they are. And you can see from that single spot, we've grown all the way up this trellis that was initially meant just for our kiwi here. It's grown the whole way up, and we've expanded to the top. See if I can come all the way up here. The top, which is 8 feet in the air, and we've got cucumbers coming off of there. So one of the things I can tell you for sure is that this hay bale is a great place for our cucumber. We noticed that our cucumber and our watermelon seem to be growing fastest here in our hay bales. And it's extended out along the trellising that we have for our squash as well. And you can see we've got one right here. Nice cucumber. And it's extended out this way too. So if you can give it plenty of space, I mean, they're going to move around quite a bit. And this plant is clearly thriving. So we've given it tons of space to climb wherever it wants to go, and it's rewarding us with some really nice fruit. Now, because of the success of that cucumber in a hay bale, we also planted a cucumber in this hay bale, which was our salad bar, hay bale salad bar, but which now only has some kale, but used to contain a massive amount of salad fixings. But this one is clearly now growing out nicely as well for a late season planting. And even our cucumber that's mostly shaded out by these beautiful tomato plants and our other compost area here, our compost garden, even that cucumber plant is still nice and green. It's not as big as some of the other ones, but it's still nice and green, and it's starting to produce some cucumbers as well. This cucumber plant is our Sikkim cucumber, and the plant itself actually doesn't look all that healthy for whatever reason, but the cucumber that's on it, this is the Sikkim cucumber, looks perfect. Now this is the same cucumber we were growing indoors as a part of our single seed challenge. The Sikkim cucumber is supposed to be this reddish brown color with all of these cracks in there. That is the exact way it's supposed to look, and it's turning that color the whole way around. It starts off green and then it turns a little bit yellowish. You can see it right here, and then it transforms into this really beautiful cucumber. And we had hoped to get seeds from the one we grew indoors, but we didn't get seeds. And so hopefully this one, it's a little bit bigger, it's maturing a little bit better, I think. And hopefully that means that this provides us with some of the seeds we want, because the seeds for this variety, these Sikkim cucumber seeds, are $4 for 10. So 40 cents a seed. Let's hope we get some really nice seeds out of this one. Now, what is one of the challenges that we all face as gardeners whenever we have a bumper crop or even a good crop, as is the case with our cucumbers this year? Well, in this case, the challenge is that we have to find enough ways to preserve or prepare our cucumbers so that we can eat them all and not waste anything, because that's the last thing you want to do when you've worked so hard to raise a great crop. In our case, one of the things I'm really fond of doing with these cucumbers is making easy refrigerator pickles. And I know that these pickles, this recipe is really simple. I'm going to put a link down in the description so you can use that. I actually substituted a few things, but really simple recipe. And these will keep in the refrigerator for up to a month. So that's one way. And I usually make 2 cans of this at a time, which takes about a half a dozen or so of our cucumbers. They are so good. But now I'd like to know from you, what is your favorite way to preserve or prepare your cucumbers? Yes, we eat tons of them fresh. I would say we go through 4 or 5 every single day when they're in season. They're so good. But how do you best preserve your cucumbers? So our whole purpose in making this video is to encourage you not to give up or get frustrated when one season's crop fails. Because if you can figure out the deficiencies or the problems with the previous year's crop, you can try to turn that around, just like we did with these cucumbers, the next season. So this season we started with our own seedlings, made sure that there weren't any nutrient deficiencies, and we were consistent in our watering, and I think the results prove that we're going to have an even more successful season than we already have. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.